Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Lily Allen Duenas. Together, we'll talk about the world of yoga and we'll talk to people from around the world. Before diving into the episode, I wanted to invite you to join me for online yoga classes. I'm teaching yoga online nearly every day of the week, and it's everything from yoga for people who say they can't do yoga to strong vinyasa flows. I'd love for you to join me. I have $15 off credits and coupons to send to new students if you click the link in the show notes or head on over to my website, wildyogatribe.com. You'll find everything you need. Also, this March, in honor of Women's History Month, I'm teaming up with Moxie to put on a month-long challenge for just $25 for 10 classes with other yoga instructors and wellness professionals. And 100% of the proceeds go to Girls on the Run, a nonprofit that is all about girl empowerment. Join by clicking the link in the show notes, or you can find more information on my website and social media pages. I'll see you there. Are you ready to dive into the show? Let's get started. Namaste, family. Welcome back to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. Today, I'm joined by Nataša Rhind-Tutt, a yoga teacher from Slovenia. She's the founder of Nataraja Yoga Studio in Ljubljana, and she's been teaching yoga since 2007. And before that, she was a professional dancer and a makeup artist. She's also the founder of the Summer Yoga Festival in Slovenia and has served as the Nike ambassador for yoga in Slovenia as well, which I think is really interesting. She has over 15 certifications in yoga, and I'm so excited to dive into her story with you all today. So please join me in welcoming Nataša onto the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Lily. It's really nice to be with you. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you. So, Nataša, why don't we start off just with me asking and us discussing how yoga first came into your life and what has that journey been like for you?
I found out about yoga at one of dance summer camps. They were really good at trying to bring us different activities apart from dance itself. So at these dance summer camps, we could try different activities like drumming, Afro dances, and stuff like that. And one year they brought a yoga teacher from India. And me being really enthusiastic about trying everything, I signed up for his classes. To my shame, I fell asleep every time I went to his classes, probably. And after 3 days, I was so ashamed I was avoiding this teacher. But I don't know what bring me to buying first book about yoga that I could find. And I started to practice yoga on my own, and I practiced it on my own for many years. When I stopped my dancing career, I realized that without any physical activities, I can't go on. So I actually started to search what else could I do in my life to have movements that I could, to have sport that I could enjoy. I returned to yoga and I discovered this whole new world, not only of Hatha classical yoga, but hot yoga, rocket yoga, and instantly I fell in love with it.
Interesting. So I love that your dance summer camp brought in a yoga teacher from India. That seems like a very big deal to bring a yoga teacher all the way from India. Wow.
It was because that was about 30 years ago when I'm not sure there was any yoga in Slovenia yet. So even when I started to discover yoga, which is around 2007, seriously to discover in Slovenia, there was one teacher who had a dynamic yoga, and everybody did teacher training with that teacher.
Wow. Yeah, very big deal indeed then. And you just mentioned rocket yoga. I think that might be something that our listeners maybe have never heard of? I know when I was reviewing all the certifications you have, like in Forrest Yoga and Rocket Yoga, it's some things I've never heard of. Could you tell our listeners more about those styles?
Yeah, I don't have a certificate in Rocket Yoga yet. I just had a teacher in my studio who taught Rocket Yoga. So she basically taught me how to do it, but that's one certificate I'm still craving to do. I actually met Rocket Yoga in London. I'm married to an English guy, and when I go to London, I try to go to many yoga studios to meet new teachers that I could invite to my studio. And so I found out about Rocket Yoga, and it's a great style. It's actually modern Ashtanga. It does derive from Ashtanga yoga, but it has more inversions, and you have more liberty to create a class around certain rules that are given to you in Rocket. It's a very demanding style, funky with music, but it actually follows Ashtanga yoga.
So it's not the set sequence from Ashtanga.
No, but there are sections that you need to follow, but within those sections, you can change and add asanas or take them away.
Wow. Okay. And what about Forrest Yoga?
Yeah. Okay. This, I think, has changed my perspective on yoga. I did Forrest Inspired Yoga Certificate in October 2021 with Anna Forrest. The London studio in Dava Yoga has posted, we are going to host Anna Forrest, and there is only, 18 spaces left in live with Anna Forrest because of COVID. And immediately when I saw that, I applied and was thinking, oh my gosh, this is in London. All the spots are for sure taken. Well, I got a spot. And then I was so depressed when they said that Anna is not coming to London because of COVID and everything is going to be online. And I really wanted to meet her in person. But because of Anna's age and America is where America is, I thought, oh, it doesn't mind. I'm going to do it online. And I did her teacher training with the hours of delay. So when she started in the morning, 8 o'clock in America, at 5 p.m. in Slovenia. So every day I've been doing the teacher training between 5 p.m. till 3 a.m. in the morning. But I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Anna Forrest is one of the craziest people in the yoga world that I've ever met. And I had a great journey with her.
Wow. 3 a.m. Oh, you were very brave to sign on for that, to know that I'll start it at 5 p.m. and I have to stay all the way awake doing yoga and doing philosophy and history and pranayama. I'm sure all the other elements of yoga were maybe incorporated, but that seems so brave, Nataša, to sign up for something that goes all the way till 3 a.m.
Yes. The funny thing was that I didn't realize I actually signed up for advanced Forrest inspired yoga. So almost everyone at that course were already practicing with her for a year or 2 or 5 or 10 years. And I was totally new in Forrest Yoga. I've actually done 2 Forrest classes. So when she started to teach, physical asanas were not hard to follow, but then all the asanas names, almost all of them, are different. On day 3, she said, now, Nataša, you need to teach for 20 minutes. And all the cameras and all the eyes were on me. And I was like, I don't know any of the names, but because she is really strong personality and she has this loud voice and she always says, you mustn't say sorry for everything. Be loud, make your voice demanding. And God, now I have to speak out, and whatever I say, I must be confident about it. So it was a really interesting journey, and it's a really great style. She mixes his tribe's Indian philosophy and Australian native philosophy into yoga. So there is no, Krishna and Om and stuff like that. She prays, Forest Yoga prays to the earth, to the north, and to living beings, and to be what you are, not to be afraid of showing your wishes, to be a little bit egoistic. So the philosophy is a bit different, and I actually really liked it.
Oh, wow. So how's the philosophy different?
You know how Eastern yoga always says, get rid of your ego? For example, in Forrest Yoga, it's no, ego is part of us. You just need to make it work for you and for the others. Make your ego, take care of yourself, and then help others. So don't just put your ego to the side. It's part of you, but use it for something good. That's one of the things. Then there is this empathy, helping others, being strong and powerful. Don't close down. Don't go in one corner and meditate, but be active, help others, help yourself. Don't be a victim. So I like that. It's a really empowering style.
Yeah, I connect also with styles or with philosophies that aren't so much go off into a cave and isolate yourself. I like when we're able to take things, okay, let's implement them in our daily lives. Let's talk about how the practice is on the mat and off the mat for lay people as well. Could you tell us more actually about your yoga philosophy, Nataša?
When I came into yoga, I actually realized that everything we do with passion and focus is what yoga is teaching us. So I actually realized that when I used to be a professional dancer and I was really passionate about it, I was basically doing what yoga is telling you to do. So my philosophy is just find something that you love and you do with passion and focus on that, and you're already practicing yoga. What yoga is saying is just in yoga, we're just talking loud about things that we can also achieve in other things. Like if you're a painter, and if you do that with passion, I think this is active meditation. My philosophy is first you need to take care of yourself, your body. You are strong and you have some structure in your life. So you have a discipline in your life, and that will actually make you be successful in all areas in life. I think it's really important in life that we learn how to take care of ourselves and to emphasize healthy living, to take care of our temple, our body, and find passions. And I always encourage people to do that, whether it's yoga or not. When I came to yoga, I actually felt like an outcast. I was incorporating dance moves and other sports and all kind of things into my yoga classes and music that was not typical for yoga. And I realized it doesn't matter what style of yoga you teach. It doesn't matter how you teach it and what you do within a class, as long as you teach people to take care of themselves, to take time and slow down, to breathe and to be happy with their bodies. And that's all that matters. And often I hear, oh, what you do in the studio, let's say in dynamic yoga, rocket yoga, but this is like going to the gym or dance class. It doesn't matter because I prefer to have young and old and depressed and whatever people in the studio practicing for an hour or two with me than seeing them sitting in a cafe drinking wine or beer. And many of people who come to the studio first to lose weight, to sweat, to just enjoy their bodies, many of them do start to eat more healthily. They do start to meditate. They do start to breathe differently, to walk differently. And I get many emails and many messages how my yoga changed their lives or changed how they walk or how they talk to their bosses or how they count to 10 before they explode in an argument. And I think this is the best I can do. And it gives me big pleasure to help people like that. I know I am not the best yoga philosopher, and I don't teach people original yoga philosophy, but whoever wants to go there, I think there are great books, great teachers in India or gurus, and those people always find their ways then. So I think I'm giving my people a great start into a yoga world, and I'm actually very happy with that.
There is, for so many yoga teachers out there, that kind of comparison culture, as well as self-doubt and feeling like an imposter. Like maybe I don't know enough, or maybe I'm not teaching the right type, or maybe if I go study with this teacher or under this guru, then I'll be a real yoga teacher. Like I think there can be that imposter syndrome, especially since there's so much on social media. There's over 98 million yoga Instagram accounts now on Instagram as of 2022, at the beginning of the year. There's a lot of chants out there that yoga teachers are saying, hey, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if the style I'm teaching is what I should. So I love how you just said, I found what works for me, what works for my community, what really is serving and uplifting others in a way that helps them feel healthy and revitalized. And what else can people ask for? Just, I think I loved how you said that. Very eloquent, and I'm grateful you shared it with our listeners.
Thank you, Lily. You summed up everything I've said really nicely.
So, Nataša, how did you find the trust or that confidence or the drive to step into your purpose? Was there something along your path, either in the beginning of your journey, maybe childhood, maybe something in dancing that really just gave you that something inside of your chest or your belly or your heart that said, okay, I'm ready to step into the next step of being a yoga teacher?
It's very interesting because I was actually, in a way, thrown into this world. When I've started to, what else can I do after my dancing career was over, and I was working as a makeup artist, and I knew I don't want to do just that. I don't want to be just makeup artist for the rest of my life. I started to look around and I found these great modern yoga styles, and I knew immediately that what I want to do. So I said to this woman who was a yoga owner in Slovenia, and she actually asked me to do her makeup for her webpage. Can I just come to your classes and you don't need to pay me for the makeup? With a dancing background, you become good asanas teachers. So yes, I would love you maybe to become my yoga teacher. And I've started to train with her, and sadly, within 2 months or something like that, her sister, who was also a yoga teacher, got ill. So this woman asked me, can I just substitute one class, because she couldn't find any other substitute. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never taught a yoga class. I was trying to help, and I said yes. So I taught this first yoga class out of the blue, and she came back to me and said, you know what, people were really satisfied. Could you teach 3 times per week? So I actually started to teach without having any certificate. And yeah, I was thrown into this world. And then I signed up for my first yoga teacher training. And after the teacher training was finished, the teacher, who had a tiny studio in her basement, said, I am moving out of Slovenia. Would somebody like to hire my studio? And I raised my hand and got the studio. So again, it was almost like it was meant to be. And people came, and soon enough, I had 2 more teachers to teach for me. And down the road, 5 years later, I opened a bigger studio in the center of Ljubljana. I don't know, like it was destined to come.
That is a true sign of the right thing and being on the right path. And again, coming back to dharma and living your dharma when things fall together like that, so organically and so in the flow. I just feel like it's the universe saying, yeah, yep, gold star, thumbs up, you're doing it right.
When I think about why I'm doing yoga or why I am as I am, I always come back to my mom having bipolar disease. She actually got ill when I was 8. And so when I was getting older, she talked to me a lot in different states of her mind. And I always remembered most that she said, I was never allowed to do that. I never had a chance. Others always expected me to do that. My family forbid me to do that. So I think as a small girl, I promised to myself, I will not listen to the society. I will listen to myself, my instinct. I will follow my path and not what other expects from me. And I think this was a big thing in my life. Even when I was around my friends who all got a job, who all studied, who all got married when they were, 25, who got kids, they were all saying to me, oh my gosh, do you know you're 30 and you don't have kids yet? Oh, do you know you're 35 and you're not married yet? Oh, how about paying into your fund for when you're going to be old? Or do you plan to keep on dancing forever? Oh, what do you mean now you're going to change your career and become a makeup artist? What? Now you're going to be a yoga teacher? But I was right, and I was doing what's right for me because of my mom. And now all those people are saying to me, oh, I wish I would do what you did. I wish I would still be where you are. So I think my mom disease made me very strong about following my inner voice.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I wouldn't have maybe guessed that your mother's bipolar disorder would have helped you to follow your inner voice. You were saying that she felt like she wasn't allowed to do things. So then you craved a greater sense of freedom. Did I connect those dots correctly?
Yes.
And that's an amazing thing to reflect on, how our parents influence how and who we choose our path. How did these different personalities or different attachment styles or different patterns in the family, how did that help influence my own decision-making process, which I know I also live a bit of an out-of-the-box life, not at all a cookie cutter. So I do get those questions a lot from friends. So, Nataša, I would love to hear more about the yoga festival that you founded in the middle of a pandemic, which is so brave. Event planning is always difficult, but in the middle of COVID, even harder. So, could you share with our listeners more about what led you?
When the first lockdown happened, I have to say I was very content about it. I went back to everything I wanted to do for a long time, but had no time for. Spending more time with my son, being in nature more, reading all the books that were waiting for me, cooking for my family more. So I was very content in a lockdown. Of course, I started to teach on Zoom, so I was not completely without work, but I was happy and I was like, oh, all this is going to pass one day. But I've noticed that lots of people had a lot of anxiety during this time and how to deal with it. And me having all this peace and time, I've started to plan an event, which is yoga festival, that I actually wanted to do one day, but I never got to it because I have a yoga studio, I have a small boy, I have lots of hobbies, mom in an old people's home. So it was a big event to organize and I never had enough time to it. And a lockdown, I was, wow, I think now it's the right time. I have a lot of time on my own. And I think people are craving to go back to fun events, to practice in big groups, to go out of their towns. I got really excited, and although a lot of people and friends and colleagues were saying to me, this is not the right time to have a yoga festival, I just felt this deep desire that, yes, it is. I need to do it. So last summer in June 2021, I got all my guts together and organized my first yoga festival. And it was small, but it was a big success. This June in 2022, I'm organizing my second one, and I hope it's gonna be on every year from now on.
That's amazing. It's called the Nataraja Yoga Festival, held every year in June. Is that correct?
Yes. Nataraja Yoga Festival is meant to be for a whole family. There are activities for everybody, and kids will be entertained for the whole time by our staff. Yoga workshops are all from very relaxing yin yoga to hardcore rocket yoga. And besides that, there are plenty of activities that do not require you to be a yogi. Painting workshop, massages, kung fu, animal movement, swimming in Kolpa River. So bring your friend and discover Bela Krajina, which is a truly beautiful place in Slovenia.
Beautiful. That's amazing. And Nataša, I love to ask this question to every guest I have on my podcast. What is your personal definition of yoga?
For me personally, yoga is a huge playground where I get to play with my body and my mind, where I find peace and where I have a possibility to be truly me without pretending. I like to explore different styles and use them according to how I feel and where I am in my life. And of course, it benefits me to know them in the studio to attract different groups of people. But professionally, yoga for me is a magnificent tool that I use to help people to teach them how to feel good about themselves and grow constantly. I try not to be too serious about yoga because I think people have too many burdens in their lives already. So I would like that yoga for masses is light and approachable.
Beautiful. I love that. And so, if some of our listeners want to find out more about you or get in touch, or maybe even get more information about your summer yoga festivals, where is a good place for them to reach out and get in touch?
Well, probably the best is to visit my webpage, which is natarajastudio.com. Luckily, I have it in Slovenian and in English language, and you can find all the information there about workshops and teacher training, yoga festival, and our regular classes. We are also on Facebook and Instagram. So you can also find us on Instagram under Nataraja_studio or on Facebook.
Perfect. I will link all of those in the show notes so you can check it out. Easy click of a button wherever you're listening to podcast, as well as there'll be links on my website, wildyogatribe.com, so you can get in touch with Nataša. So Nataša, before we sign off, I would love for you to share a little bit more about Slovenia with our listeners. Maybe they're not super familiar with it. Maybe they can't quite even put it quite on a map. So would you tell our listeners a little bit more about your country?
It's very interesting. When I did teacher training with Anna Forrest, who is from America, and she and her husband is from Australia. So at some point he waved to me and said, "Goodbye, Nataša, from Slovenia next to Russia or wherever you are, East European country." And I laughed because a minute before that, he was talking about, yeah, let's go into Shavasana and pretend we are in Italy. And he knew everything about Italy. So Slovenia is bordering Italy, Austria, Hungary, and Croatia. So to brag that we are in the heart of the Europe. And we like to brag that Slovenia is the only country who has love in it. Slovenia is a very tiny country, but we are actually very proud of it because we have everything. We have seaside, we have high mountains to climb or to ski on. We have many lakes and forests, but also a very nice main city, Ljubljana, which you're all welcome to visit.
I actually do have a trip to Ljubljana planned at the end of March 2022. So I'm very excited to get to see Slovenia for myself. And from what I've read and seen online, it is just a gorgeous country. So I was really excited to get to share more with our listeners about it today with you. So thank you so much, Nataša, for joining me today. It has just been a true joy to be with you.
Thank you, Lily, for this conversation, and contact me for a coffee when you're in Slovenia.
I will. Thank you so much. My conversation with Nataša Rhind-Tutt, a yoga teacher from Slovenia, was so fascinating as we discussed different types of yoga, everything from Forrest Yoga to rocket yoga, and also how passion, focus, and discipline are the main ingredients in a yoga practice. Her desire and decision to follow her dharma and to protect her freedom is truly inspiring. If you're looking to tune into a podcast episode that is all about honoring your inner voice and setting aside self-doubt to live in alignment with your dharma, then this is the conversation for you. Thank you for tuning in to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. Be well. Thank you for the gift of your attention today. If you feel called, please share this episode with someone who you think could benefit from it. Leaving a review would also be so appreciated. Also, I hope you can join me for yoga classes live streamed and on demand on Moxie, a new platform where I'm hosting classes. To take advantage of those $15 off coupons available for new students, the links are in the show notes as well as on my website, wildyogatribe.com. I'll see you on the mat. And as always, be well, dear one, be well.